Welcome back. My name is Dr. Carl Baird, and today I'll be taking you through a 30-minute workout for shoulder pain, our level 2 edition. So if you haven't already, be sure to check out our level 1 workout. That's going to help you build the foundation for a lot of these movements, because the last thing we would want to do as we're having you exercise to improve shoulder health is do something that might aggravate your shoulder. And so that's why we take this progressive approach where we start by building a solid movement foundation and slowly build strength and confidence so that at the end, you've got strong, healthy, and pain-free shoulders, which is what we're going after. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So for this workout, you're gonna need a few things. First, you're gonna need 2 different types of bands. So we've got these red rubber bands. We've also got more of like the TheraBand you get from a physical therapy office, a little bit lower resistance on these ones. We're gonna be using a foam roller, and then we're also gonna be using a weight. I've got about a 15-pound kettlebell here. It doesn't need to be a lot of weight, but it will be something we're gonna do a couple row variations that'll use that. But before we get started, let's go ahead and do our warm-up. So with shoulder pain, first thing we wanna do is stretch out our pec muscles. So what I'm going to use is a squat rack, but if you have a door or anything that you can put your arm on, we're going to start with an easy pec stretch. So things to keep in mind with this one. We want your elbow to at least be shoulder height or higher. The higher you move it, you might feel a stretch in a different area. Pec is a very big muscle, so you might feel the stretch in different areas, but what you want to avoid is bringing the elbow too far too low, because that can kind of aggravate things in the front of the shoulder, which is not what we want. All right, so we're going to slowly kind of ease our way into the position. And then for the last 30 seconds here, we're just going to hold. And again, I want to feel the stretch really on the front side of my pec here. So a lot of shoulder pain can be attributed to muscle imbalance, where we're a lot tighter in the front because we spend a lot of our days like this, and a lot weaker in the back. So that's part of what we're trying to accomplish with this. Stretch out the front, strengthen the back. Good. All right, let's go ahead and move to the opposite side. So same thing. We're just gonna turn our shoulders out. And again, the first 30 seconds, we're moving in and out of the movement, just trying to slowly go further each time. We just don't wanna kind of rip our shoulder by going as far as we can that first one. So just take your time. And again, you can just experiment with what feels better on this side. A little bit higher, I get more of a stretch right in the front. But now I'm gonna hold it for the last 30 seconds. Nice work. Just getting our shoulder warmed up and prepared for a lot of the work that we're going to be doing. Good. Next one, we're going to be taking our red band and we're just going to do what are called pass-throughs. So getting as wide as you can on the band, we're going to come back and forth. Now there's a couple things to note here. This is still in level 2, so there might be, if you're dealing with like a rotator cuff injury, biceps tendonitis, what's really common with a lot of shoulder injuries is a loss of range of motion. So you might not be here yet. So let me show you again. If this is fine, keep doing this. But let me show you what you can do if you have a little bit limited range of motion. Goal number 1 is to get that range of motion back. And what you can do is passive shoulder range of motion exercises. So using like a broom handle, I use a PVC pipe. It's really just using my right hand, if I'm working on my left shoulder, to take it as high as you can. So again, if my range of motion is limited here, I just stop there and spend a little extra time just trying to push it. Again, go to the point of pain and just try to get a little bit further. And what you'll notice, the more you do this, the easier or more range of motion it's gonna get. So again, you can kind of do both sides, just again, depending on if one side has that limited range of motion. That is goal number 1. A lot of these exercises are going to be difficult if we don't have full range of motion. So those are 2 options there. Either the pass-throughs, if your shoulder range of motion is good, or the passive shoulder range of motion if it needs a little bit of work I would keep with those passive shoulder range of motions for a good amount of time. You can do those every day, not even part of this whole program, until your range of motion is back. All right, next, we are gonna go on our mat. We're gonna warm up our mid-back with foam roll extensions. So all we're gonna do, start with the foam roll right below our shoulder blades, hand on the back of the head so that when we go back, our neck doesn't overextend. And then from there, we're just extending over that foam roller. We're mobilizing that mid-back. Hold for a second or two at the bottom, bring it back up, and then you wanna bring your hips down to roll the foam roller up, just 1 or 2 inches, and you're gonna work your way up your mid-back this way. So what's really important to understand is that your mid-back movement is directly linked to your shoulder movement. So if you're somebody who's on the stiffer side, we want to make sure that we really spend time opening up this mid-back, which gets tight in a lot of people, especially people work at desks and are rounded forward all day. Just spending some time opening up. Nice work. And done. All right, so that is our little warm up. So let's go ahead and get started with our workout. First exercise is going to be called Scapula Cars. So if you'll remember from our level 1, one of the goals of these first 2 workouts is to re-engage and regain control of not only our shoulder movement, but our shoulder blade movement. And this is what the Scapula Cars exercise does. Cars stands for controlled articular rotations, which is just a fancy way of saying joint movement. So to perform this exercise, what we're gonna do, we're gonna start by raising your shoulders up, and then you're gonna roll them back. So as you roll them back, you're gonna be pinching your shoulder blades together and start to pull them downward. So this is a hard exercise to see, so I'll talk you through it. So you'll be pulling those shoulder blades down as you're pinching them together. Once you get to the bottom, you're gonna start rounding them forward. So I'll roll my shoulders forward. You'll feel those shoulder blades stretch in the back, and then you start to bring them back up. So again, I like to think of taking those shoulder blades through a full circle. Good. And at the top, we'll go through that again. So starting with shoulder hike, we're gonna roll them back, pinch shoulder blades together, pinch the shoulder blades together as you start to pull them down. Slow and controlled on this one. Then you're gonna start to round them forward. Again, the goal is to engage and be able to control all the muscles that control our shoulder blade movement. Because what happens a lot of times, especially when we get here, those muscles aren't engaged, we kind of lose control, and that's gonna lead to a little bit of pain. So we've done 2 backwards, so let's do 1 forward. I'll kind of come from the back this time so you can see it. So we're gonna start shoulder hike, but this time I'm gonna roll forward. So my shoulder blades are spreading across my back. As I start to bring them down, getting to the bottom, as I get to the bottom, I'm gonna start rolling those shoulders back, pinching the shoulder blades together, and then start to come up. We'll do that 1 more time. And again, you're gonna go a lot slower than you want to go. It's not just rolling the shoulders like this. We're really trying to engage all the muscles that control our scapula movement. Good. All right. So next one, we're going to move to banded Y's and T's. So this is where we're going to use our little TheraBand. So a little less resistance here. You don't need a lot for these. These are using smaller muscles, so they can get difficult pretty easy. So what we're going to do, you have to have somewhere to hook the bands. So I'm going to use, again, my squat rack here. Mine have little grips, which I like, but you can just kind of grab onto the side if that's what you got. And you're going to start with, let me get my timer out to make sure we do it the right amount of time. All right. You're gonna start with the T. So again, it's just gonna be arms straight, bringing it straight out there, back to the middle, and then you're gonna do a Y. So this is why it's called Y's and T's. You're just making a T with your hand, back to the middle, and making a Y with your hand. Good. So again, slow and controlled. We're just activating lower trapezius, rhomboids, really important shoulder stabilizers. Things to keep in mind is that we don't want a lot of spinal movement on this, so it's not, especially when we get into the Y, we don't want to excess spinal movement, so be sure to keep an abdominal brace while you're going through it. Nice work. We got 10 more seconds. We'll do one more. T and Y. Nice work. Okay, next one. We're going to be doing a single armed row. So we're going to use kind of a heavier resistance band. These red ones are about 25 to 35, which are good to start off with. Again, this is still level 2. We got 2 levels to go, so we're not going for full strength. We're going, let's just get these muscles engaged and get them working, make sure they're working right. So with this exercise, what you're going to do, same row we did in level 1, but now you're going to do it one arm at a time. So you start with what's called a neutral grip, and again, just keep it nice and low. I use my belly button as a reference. We just don't want to be getting into these kind of hiking type of rows where our shoulders hike. We don't want to overuse our traps here. Good. Keep going. Again, the reason we like single arm rows, because what'll happen, most people have a dominant side. And what'll happen, especially if you're injured or you're in pain, and you do a lot of the two-handed stuff, your stronger side's gonna take over. Good, let's switch sides. But what happens with the single arm, when you do single arm, is your weak side has to work just as hard as your strong side. So this one we're breaking up into 2 rounds of 30 seconds, so keep going. Just paying attention to how the body feels. You might notice one side being a bit more difficult than the other. Good. All right. Back to the other side. Another 30 seconds here. Same thing, really trying to keep it all in the arm. Avoid any sort of spinal movement. Avoid any twisting. Keeping it all in the arm, but this is part of creating that muscular balance, stretching out the front, strengthening the back. We're going to be doing a lot of rows. Good, switch sides to help create that muscle balance, to take pressure off of the structures of the shoulder, off the rotator cuff, off the bicep tendon, off the subscap tendon. That is what we're focusing on. So that's why I like this workout. It's not a rehab program for a specific injury. It's for overall shoulder health, shoulder strength, can be used for any of those injuries. This is what I do with anybody, no matter what their injury is. Nice work. All right, we'll let the band hang there. Next, we're gonna move into what's called a bird dog row. So I use a bench for this one. You can also do it on the ground. But what we're going to do, we did a bird dog in our first level 1 exercise. But now what we're going to do is get into that same bird dog position. So I'll start bringing my left foot back, which means I want the weight in my right hand. And let me start my timer. And then all we're going to do, maintain that bird dog position. And you're going to do a nice little row. So again, you get a little bit of that row challenge, but you'll notice very easily this is posture in core to keep balance. You want to keep your core nice and strong. Good. We're going to switch sides. We'll break this one in 30 seconds. So I bring my right leg back, weight in the left hand. And again, you want to keep that back leg nice and engaged, so you don't want it just kind of hanging here. Really reach towards that back wall, maintaining this nice strong position. You don't need a bench for this. Like I mentioned, you can do it on the ground. You just won't be able to straighten your arm, which is fine, but that's why I like doing it on the bench if you have it available. Good. All right, back to the other side. 30 seconds each side. You can probably tell this is harder than it looks. It takes a lot of balance and core strength. Keep your spine nice and straight. Don't allow for any twisting. Good. Ooh, see me rock there. Nice work. Ooh. All right. Back to the other side. Again, really reach this back leg. Point your heel towards that back wall. Don't lift too high like that. Really reach straight back so your glutes are engaged. Your spine is nice and straight. And we'll keep going. We got 30 seconds left. Whew. Starting to get a little hot. It's 90 degrees here today in Portland, and this room doesn't have AC. Might get a little sweaty on this one. Here we go. Last one. Done. All right. So let's go ahead and set this out of the way. And we're going to move into our full body movement patterning. All right. So next exercise, banded hip hinge. So we're going to use our same red band we used for our single arm rows. We're going to hold it in the middle, so we got the two bands here, and we're going to step right in the middle and come to this standing position. Let me get the timer started. Ooh, there we go. All right. So we're going to do that same hip hinge we've been practicing, only the band adds a little bit of resistance. So we're going to reach our hips back, keep our spine nice and straight, just till we feel tension in the hamstrings. Now I don't need to go lower, because that's when I'll start rounding my back, which is what we don't want. So again, we're just reaching the hips back. The band will really help you feel that tension in the hamstrings. And we're coming back. Nice work. Good. So, really important, the hinge teaches us to shift a lot of this work to our what's called our posterior chain. Our hamstrings, our glutes, but it goes all the way up into our postural muscles and our back muscles, which again is a big portion of what we're trying to accomplish here, is strengthen the entire posterior chain. Good. All right, we got 2 more exercises. Like I said, it's a little hot here in Portland today, 90 degrees, so let me get a little sweat off. And we're gonna move into a high plank exercise. So we're gonna have a little tweak on this exercise. What we're gonna be focusing on is what's called shoulder centration, of shouldering this shoulder joint in its socket. And so to do that, what we're gonna do, we're gonna get in our high plank position, and then we're gonna think of turning our hand outward. Now it'll be on the ground, so it won't actually be able to move out, but what you'll notice when you're in this position and turn those hands out is it's gonna create a lot of tension all the way up the arm into the shoulder. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do 10-second holds, and then we're gonna relax. So again, high plank, screw your arms into the ground. That's gonna create a lot of tension in that shoulder, and you can see it gets a lot of these small muscles, so I'm already shaking a bit. Hold it for 10 seconds, and you can either come all the way back down or just release that tension so you're still holding the plank. Good. Keep going. Screw the hands in. We're gonna hold it for 10 seconds. Should feel a lot of tension in the arms and in the shoulders. And relax. You can bring your knees down or just release the tension. And then we're gonna go again. Screw those hands in. So again, it's a core exercise, but more importantly, it's a shoulder centration exercise. And we'll relax, and we're done. Nice work. Last exercise is going to be our core exercise. So we're going to go on our back. Instead of doing a plank, because we're doing a high plank, because we just did a high plank, we're going to do little leg lifts just to get some core work, but not do 2 planks in a row, because that'd be too mean of me. I'm not that mean. All right. So to do a leg lift, all we're going to do, keeping our legs straight, lift them up off the ground. And so the height is going to determine how difficult it is. So the lower to the ground, the harder it is. Again, you just don't want your lower back to really arch up off the ground. So if you're not there yet, it's okay to start with your legs this high. It's going to be a little bit easier to hold. As you get stronger, you can just start to bring them down. But again, we're watching for, are you able to hold your legs up while maintaining a good spine position here? Good. Again, the goal is to accumulate a minute, so if you need to drop and reset, that's totally fine as well. Again, when you're doing strength training for pain, the form and control is way more important than weight or how long you can hold something. Safety is the number one concern. We don't want to re-aggravate anything. I can see, me holding it, start to feel it in the back, so I can come down and just start a little bit higher. Good, we got 10 more seconds here. 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. So that was round number 1. We'll take a little break. I'm going to wipe off some of the sweat, but if you have water, grab a water break. And then we'll get back to it. If you're feeling okay. Good. All right. So we're going to start with those scapula cars. So reminder, what we're going to do. This is all about slow and controlled moving our shoulder blade over our rib cage. So we'll start raising the shoulders up. We're going to roll them backwards, start pinching those shoulder blades together. As you pinch them together, you're going to start pulling them down. Good. As you get to the bottom, you're going to round them forward. They'll start splaying across your back, stretching, and then you're going to come up. Good, and then when you stop, you kind of shake it out. And we'll do one more the other way. So bring those shoulders up. Roll them forward. So again, those shoulder blades are stretching on that back as you start to bring them down. Bring them down as low as you can. Then you're going to start to roll them back. So this is all about learning to re-engage the muscles that control our shoulder blade movement. There's a lot of small muscles that we lose control just from long hours of kind of sitting like this. We don't use them. And then when we go to use them, they're like, what the hell are you trying to do? So this is a chance for us to re-engage and regain control. Good. Next, we're going to do our banded Ys and Ts. So we'll go back to our little lighter green band here. Get the timer going. All right. So again, we're doing T into a Y. Nice work. So the biggest mistake, again, these are a lot smaller muscles than, say, a lot of the rowing movements that we do. So a lot of people, they stand way too far back. Then they start doing that kind of overextension of the spine, which we're really trying to avoid. So this, you don't need a lot of tension. This is actually, if you don't have a band, you can do these without a band. And it's a lot of times enough for a lot of people just to engage these muscles. Good. Just slow and controlled. Bracing at the spine or the abs to control that spinal movement. T, back to the middle. Y. getting that lower trap. Again, if it's painful, a lot of times, again, that Y position early on can be painful or you don't have the range of motion yet. I would just stick with the T's. Totally fine. And that'll be good enough till we get that range of motion back or the pain goes away. All right, good. Next, single arm rows. So back to our heavier band here. Let me get our timer. And we're just gonna start pulling towards us. Like I said, we're doing a lot of different row variations over the course of these 4 workouts. The single arm I like because it makes the weaker side work just as hard as the stronger side. So you'll probably notice one side being a little bit easier than the other. Good, let's switch sides. Totally normal. But why we like this exercise? We want to create balance, not only front to back, but side to side as well. And especially if you're dealing with pain, dealing with an injury, there's probably going to be a little bit of imbalance because you're favoring one side more than the other. Nice work. Switch back to the other side, splitting it up. It's hard to go a minute straight with a lot of these single-armed, single-leg exercises. Good. Nothing fancy with this one. Again, most of these workouts, simple movements repeated consistently and progressively. That's the way to overcome really any pain, not just shoulder pain. You don't need all these fancy, go on YouTube and you see people doing too much. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't need all that. Like, just keep it simple. That's my motto. Keep it simple, stupid. Nice. So I can feel, my left side, I'm not even dealing with pain, but I can feel that it's a little bit more difficult on my left side because that's not a strong side, which makes this a really good exercise for me to do. Again, avoiding hunching. Try to pull nice and low. Pull towards the belly button. Nice work. All right, so we're gonna get into our bird dog rows again. So either set up on the ground or grab your bench and we'll move it back over. So if I'm going to be doing my right side, my left leg is going to be back, reaching towards that back wall. You'll know pretty easy if you're doing it right, because if you tried to do it the opposite way, it would be very, it'd be very, very difficult. Nice work. My bench is a little shaky, which adds an extra challenge to it. Here we go. All right, good. Switch to the other side. So again, my right leg is back, straight back, not lifting too high like that. Right leg straight back, keeping that nice straight spine, keeping the elbow nice and close to the body. And we're doing rows. Doing great, we're almost done. Less than 5 minutes left. If you need to take a break, just pause the video and hop back in. I also have articles of all these with all these exercises. Good, switch to the other side. So if you want to do more, kind of do it at your own pace, check out the article. It has videos of each of these exercises. And just do it at your own pace. Sometimes that's a lot easier. This is for motivation, for the people that, I just need somebody to talk me through this or I won't do it, which is totally understandable. Good. Last one here. All right, right leg back. Again, you want tension in those glutes. You want to maintain tension. You don't want this kind of loose leg back here. It's all about creating tension. Take pressure off our joints. Nice work. 10 more seconds on this side. As fast or as slow as you'd like. Again, it's just about form and control. Last one. And done. Nice work. All right, we're gonna set this to the side, move in. To our last 3 exercises. So we're gonna do that banded hinge. So we're gonna take our red band, stand right on top, get the timer going. Oh boy. There we go. That's the fun part about working out with yourself. Come on. There we go. All right, here we go. Standing nice and tall. Reaching those hips back. Tension in the hamstrings. Stand straight up. Engaging the posterior chain. The reason I like this exercise, especially for our shoulder workout, is you're going to feel it in your lats, these big muscles on the side, which are also really important for shoulder health. So again, slow and controlled, really paying attention to form. Pay attention to that tension in the hamstrings. That's going to be important in our next progression in level 3. Reach those hips back. Good. Tension in the hamstrings. Nice straight spine. Last one here. Reach the hips back. Stand on up. Nice work. Okay. We're moving into our high plank with the shoulder centration. So remember, that's kind of turning the hands out to create tension up the arm, center the shoulder joint in that glenoid fossa, which is where it should be. But what happens with that muscle imbalance, again, it gets rounded forward like that, which puts pressure on the biceps tendons, stretches and strains the rotator cuff, which is why we want to fix it. All right, so let's go ahead. Starting in that high plank, turning the hands out. We're just doing 10 seconds at a time. So first one, you can take a break. You can come all the way down for a break, give the arms a break. Come back up, do another 10 seconds. And you can either come back down on this one or just release the tension in the arms, but hold that high plank to keep your core engaged and then go again. You can really feel that tension up the arm into the shoulder. Go ahead and relax. Just not letting the body really hang. You want to keep a nice strong position. Last 10 seconds here. Screw those arms into the ground. You can really feel it in my shoulders. Again, if you need to take a break, form more important than holding it as long as you can. Good. Come back down. All right. Last one. We got our leg lift. So we'll come onto our back and lift those legs up. So again, another common thing you'll find people that have a lot of shoulder pain is not necessarily a weak core, although that can be the case, but somebody who doesn't have control of their core. So you see it in dancers, gymnasts, people who are hyper flexible, and they need to regain control of their core centrally to regain control of their arms and their legs distally. So again, we're accumulating a minute. If you need to take a break, that's fine. Or if you want to start up higher, that's good too. Whatever level you're at, we just want to get a little bit of core strength. Really important for shoulder pain as well. Almost there, 10 seconds left. And then we're done. Push yourself, 10 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. So that is all I got for you. That is our 30-minute workout for shoulder pain, level 2. Thank you so much for watching. Again, the goal here is to improve muscle imbalance, regain control of your scapula, improve mid-back mobility and core strength so that we can solve anything that's causing shoulder pain, whether that's rotator cuff, biceps tendonitis, subscap. This is just a strength to create overall healthy and strong shoulders. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'm here to help. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey, it's Dr. Baird here. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page to catch all our videos designed to help you build the strength and confidence to live active, healthy, and happy lives. You won't find it anywhere else.